These are fathers and forefathers who have planted the seed in Oklahoma, just like in Texas or in Kansas or Pennsylvania or in New York. All of us face the same kind of challenges, our forefathers coming to this land. So when we speak about our faith, we speak about the faith of our fathers and forefathers, priests, bishops, lay people who came to this land penniless, um, strangers, did not speak the language, struggled, did not read and write, and only they came with the faith and the sign of the cross on their faces. They make the sign of the cross. And so they have planted the seed. So being here now in Oklahoma City and retired, I don't want to waste the rest of my life doing nothing. Like my father would say, in America, you do not sleep. You got to keep working. You got to be productive. And so I'm trying to utilize the time and the talent God gave me.
Welcome to the Faith of Our Fathers podcast. This is our very first episode. I'm your host, Theodore, and with me, always, is going to be the Orthodox priest, Father Constantine Nasr. And so we kind of came up with this idea some time back, and I took it to Father Constantine, and he's like, whatever. But being the man that he is, never having the grass grow under his feet, let's give it a go. So we fretted over it for a while and really had a hard time coming up with the name. And what did we end up coming up with? Faith of Our Fathers. How did we come up with that, Father? Do you remember? I remember the story, but I'm going to let you tell it.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for taking the initiative and the encouragement to have this podcast. So before we begin, this is the season of seasons, the feast of the Nativity of our Lord, just we celebrated yesterday. So I want to wish you and everyone in the audience, Christ is born, glorify him. Wishing everyone a peaceful, healthy, and prosperous and jubilant new year. So every day we are born again. We are born again every day when we wake up in the morning. There is another birth. Open our eyes and a new life begins. And so to begin with this podcast, it is an appropriate time to say Christ is born. And this podcast is being born, already born. It's just we need to have the delivery. And I hope that within time we'll have the delivery.
Right.
All right. So anyhow,
Perfect, Father.
you came and encouraged me to do this, and I said, let me think about it. And then I said, why not? We can always learn from our research and also help others to learn from our research. So everyone is a winner if we do it right. So for that, I thank you. And the idea is to come up with subjects, various titles and programs, and we have lots to discuss, lots of titles on maybe various things that I have done, written, resource book for mission and evangelism, a practical guide for priest and pastor, explaining the divine liturgy, marriage, spiritual renewal. There are so much topics, and from my personal experience, what I have learned from priests and bishops and writers and authors, and experience of life. I mean, you have the You have the academic study at the university, at the seminary, at the college, at the high school, but also you have the second educational, the life living experience from your experience in life, from other people that have touched you and have encouraged you, and
Street knowledge is what
uh,
you're saying. Street
street
knowledge.
knowledge. Yeah, street knowledge. So anyhow, we want to think of the title, and really was a struggle to find the title.
Yeah, it was a struggle. Yeah.
And actually, I forgot about the idea, but my wife,
Yep.
the one who recommended,
Of course she did.
recommended Faith of Our Fathers, because we were doing some research for catechismal
Yeah.
instructions to be compiled together. And I was looking at my books, and one of the books that I had is Faith of Our Fathers. And she said, "Why don't you just use that?" I said, "That's not a bad idea."
Yeah.
Faith
I
of
remember sitting in your office and we were struggling with the name, and Korea just walked in there, grabbed a book off the shelf and said, "Why don't you call it this?"
Faith of
And
Our
handed you
Fathers.
that book.
And I said, "Right,
And
that's
we were
not a
like,
bad idea,
"Yeah, that's right."
because this book was giving to Albert and El Slam, actually, years back, and it by the Russian Orthodox Church, okay, 1954, copy
1954.
1954, really an excellent book of catechism, really. Anyhow, the idea now, we gave it to you, you start searching now, you go from there, you search the podcast on Facebook, YouTube, I don't know. What did you discover?
Yeah. I found one other one, and all this guy was doing was trying to debunk everything, and he was not good. And he had like 3 videos. So and you were a little worried about it. You were like, "Oh, well, there's somebody out there. There might be a copyright." As long as we don't name it like the Joe Rogan Experience, I think we're good.
Well, if we call it Faith of Our Fathers podcast, is that,
There you go.
I mean, is that acceptable?
That's what we ended up with. If we get sued at some point, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. How's
You
that?
can put music to it, introduction
Right.
to that. And the reason we even is powerful, the idea of Faith of Our Fathers, because we are trying to speak about our fathers, forefathers, what we have inherited throughout centuries that written in books. Of course, what we know is very, very limited knowledge. There's so much to learn, and the whole,
Yeah.
even the whole world
Yeah.
cannot contain what was said and what was written. But we can only walk on the light we hold.
Nix.
And when we did begin to discuss on these subjects, we bring memory and remembrance of our forefathers, as just like Deacon Ezra spoke so eloquently this past Sunday.
Yes.
About the Sunday before, about the genealogy
Yeah.
of Jesus Christ, the 14th generation. And we don't know nothing about, we hear them and forgot them. If you want to know more about them, you got to study about each person and study and study and study. But the same thing, members of our church, we have names on the flower that do not wither fan, men and women who have passed away, who have lived in the church, and we like to bring them to remembrance. These are fathers and forefathers who have planted the seed in Oklahoma, just like in Texas or in Kansas or Pennsylvania or in New York. All of us face the same kind of challenges, our forefathers coming to this land. So when we speak about our faith, we speak about the faith of our fathers and forefathers, priests, bishops, lay people who came to this land penniless, strangers, did not speak the language, struggled, did not read and write, and only they came with the faith and the sign of the cross on their faces. They make the sign of the cross. And so they have planted the seed. So having being here now in Oklahoma City and retired, I don't want to waste the rest of my life doing nothing. My father would say, in America, you do not sleep. You got to keep working. You got to be productive. And so I'm trying to utilize the time and the talent God gave me, because
Those are wise words. And your father was a priest too, right?
my father was a priest.
Yeah.
And
Did you see that segue there? Did you notice that?
huh?
Did you see the segue there?
Yes, I mean you swimming.
Yeah,
You are
I
you
nailed
are
it.
diving. You are diving.
All right.
You want to know who's my father and my forefathers? I am
That's what I'm fishing for. Yeah.
yeah, I
Let's
am
see.
I came from Palestine, born in Jerusalem, and I joined my father, Zachariah Nasr, who came to collect funds to help the school on the West Bank, where I grew up in the village called Ephraim. In the Bible, John 11:54, and Jesus, therefore, no longer went about openly among the Jews, but went from there to a country near the wilderness to a town called Ephraim, and there he stayed with his disciples. That's after raising Lazarus from the dead. It's a Christian town, still Christian town. And I grew up in that town, and my dad came to collect money to expand the school, to build the school, actually. And then the church needed him to stay in this country, and he stayed, and he came in 55. And then he was serving in Iron Mountain, Michigan, and Omaha, Nebraska. Then from there to Albany, New York, Danbury, Connecticut, Philadelphia, Beckley, West Virginia, Fort Lauderdale,
All over the
Florida.
place.
Many places.
All over the place. Yeah.
Well, we are a priest is a soldier, and when the general tell him move, he has to move.
Mm-hmm.
No choice. But while my dad was in the East, I graduated from Albany Central High School, and then entered St. Vladimir Seminary on a scholarship, attending Iona College for 4 years, and then another 3 years at St. Vladimir, so total 7 years. After graduation in 73, I was ordained after I got married in January, and this January 7th will be our anniversary, will be 50, almost entering 53 years.
Wow. That's more than me. Longer than I've been alive.
God grant you good health. And
Barely.
I was assigned to St. George, Cedar Rapids, Iowa for 9 years. And then in 82, the late Metropolitan Philip Saliba, requested from me to transfer to St. Elijah, Oklahoma City. And I've been here since 1982. God blessed me with 2 boys, Constantine and Philip, born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and grew up in this community, graduated from Putnam City North, and both of them are successful in their own endeavors. And now that after all those years of service at St. Elijah, I am priest emeritus. I help the Father if he needs me. Don't interfere in the church at all. Mind my own business. Thank God I go to church to pray and somebody to pray for me. And
Yeah.
so we are to build the church up and to glorify God. And so the church was here in Oklahoma City before I came. It was established 100-some years ago. And so when we speak about faith of our fathers, every church in America, an Orthodox church or non-Orthodox church, has founders and benefactors and fathers and mothers uh, who have established these churches. And so when speak of our faith of our fathers, we speak really speaking directly to what my dad have accomplished. It wasn't for my dad.
Right.
I wouldn't be in America. I wouldn't be at Santa Eliza. If my dad did not teach me and encourage
Yeah.
me to enter into the priesthood, I wouldn't be a priest. Actually, I did not want to be a priest. But you cannot rebel against God. If God calls you, that's it. And that's a story in itself.
That sounds like another podcast right
Yes,
there.
yes. How I became a priest. I mean, I have my own story about that. But
So
again,
who ordained you?
Metropolitan Philip Saliba ordained me. My great uncle was an archbishop in Jerusalem, Simon Garfi, and we come from generations of priests and nuns and bishops. We have
How
one
many
bishop, actually.
generations?
Yeah, and in America, I have my brother as a priest, and Elias Nasr, who was in Syracuse in New York, and now he's retired. And my brother-in-law, John Elias, married to my sister, Noel. He passed away, and rest his soul in Jacksonville, Florida. And my brother-in-law, Joseph Antibas, is still serving a priest in St. George, Detroit, Michigan, married to my sister, Elaine. And my cousin, Father Nicholas Dahdal, with the great miraculous icon of Cicero during his time took place. And he is in Chicago, Illinois. And we have also,
So how far back does it go in your family?
to the late 1700, because we have manuscripts written, books were written, transcribed by the hand of my great grandfather, and we have the book and the date and the timing. I have it in my hand. I have these books, copies at least. Others are in churches, but I have 4 copies of Father Yusuf, and these copies were in our library in the village in Taipei. I brought them to America, and in fact, in one of the messages in the end of the book, he writes, he said, "He who reads this holy book, the book of Psalms, to pray for the unworthy priest who is a sinner and unworthy to hold the pen between his fingers to transcribe the word of God, begging you to pray for him." And he in the same paragraph, praying for all those who have been blessed in the church and baptized in the church, and also to remember him, not to be forgotten. Well, that's my great grandfather. And still, there are books that he transcribed better than the typewriter, you know. So we go back from generation past. So we have nuns and we have a bishop.
So it is literally the faith of our fathers.
Yeah,
That's what we're getting at. This is what we're.
It is a torch that's been handed down from this hand to
and you've
this
gone
hand.
back how many generations is that? Is it 14?
We have in the line of generation six priests. Okay, but if I have to add, my grandfather will be 7, and I will be the 8th. My grandfather was a professor. He was subdeacon, instructor of the church Byzantine music, and he taught at the Holy Cross. His wife died, And my grandfather, his father, they wanted to become ordained priest, but he was blessed to be protopsalter, which means he's the head of the cantors, and that has um, a special recognition or a special
Right.
connection,
Mhm.
So we have now another relative of ours, third cousin. I brought him to America. His name is Father Nectarius. He's in Jerusalem. And so the family is connected with the church here and other places, but I think there will be time where we digress into why my father came to America or
Yeah,
why I
yeah,
became a
yeah.
priest versus I want to become a plumber or a
Right,
mechanic or
right.
a car.
All that,
And
all that to say that I don't think we're ever going to run out of stuff to talk about. I don't think we ever will.
well, I'm giving you a subject to think about.
Yeah,
And you're thinking
it's.
about it.
I've got a couple going on right now, and that's a joke between Father and I. But hey, Father, thank you so much. Thank you for taking on this endeavor with me. I think we're going to have a great time with this. I know we are. It's just a blessing to me to be able to spend Thursdays with you, which is the day we record. When we are not record, when we drop the episodes, I don't know. I think we should probably shoot for Theophany. What do you think? I mean, that's probably a
Um,
good place to start.
it will be a good time for the manifestation of our work.
Exactly. So too. I think it's a good place to start. I
Uh,
think.
yeah, nothing comes easy, and if we are able to, I am enjoying the fellowship first of all,
Me too. Me
and
too.
hopefully people will listen and share in the program for others. There's lots to learn. And so, of course, since we are alive, let's do what we can.
Exactly. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Father.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us spread the word about the show. So, for Father Constantine, I'm Theodore, and we'll see you on the next episode of the Faith of Our Fathers podcast.